Morning, man. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, worldwide. Yeah, man. When you get there, what? All right, so now we pan the broadcasting to start, the conference to start. Yeah, because supposed to have a conference. It has started a minute now. So I wait pan. Yeah. So no, I forgot live. Yeah, man, and come knock the place same way. Yeah, man. The amount of things we are going to unbelievable doing now. The amount of thing when I go on unbelievable. So in Jamaica, that's nothing I go on. Yes. Angelo, let me say something to Angelo. The minions them out. Stop the garbage them with the minions them just run out and doing nothing at all but about spreading misinformation and disinformation. You have some minion where you put up. It not help you. Let me tell you something. Well, I wanna ask it, when you run out in a business, every first somebody and then you put out garbage and try to twist. There is nothing you can twist at this time. Nothing. People are look at you as a dumbass, liar or something. So when you come in and you really something where you twist, it not really help you. So tell them many and them that. I think you come out and say it, Right now, not help you with that. Not help you, can't help you neither. So when you come in and you send them out and them twist everything and like come see Dana and what's his name? Dora Dixon. I make a speech in the Senate. I say the 25th of October. They meet up with the opposition. We did see that. And she said, them take everything on board with the opposition say. And tweet. When we look now, them a chop it up and I put some little foolishness in it. Yeah? Yeah, you put garbage in it morning. Big enough. You put garbage in that and attack garbage. And I say, yes, so we have it. That'll make not work, man. Just come one time and then share some views and what have you. And me and Mark Golden, I say, him not play, it's a different man though. Him not play a political ball like Andrew that play, Him never call Andrew name. Him say no, because if we get this wrong, the whole country is set back for generation. And that's true. But then I get it wrong because the thing them want to run out with it bad. If you're gonna make people sit down even with a container house and to the end of January to 3 months time and then requirement and one bag of things, you hurt people, brother. You hurt people. You see people put out so 1.5, you will start 1.5 billion. Me people are talking about the ban like the ban or anything. These are garbage. These are points on the want to run with. Yes. Yeah, man. 11-1. Okay, Diane. Your grandmother passed on Friday. No, man, enough condolences to you and the family still. Yeah. Same health strong. No, man. She want to rest up in her Zion. She passed on Friday. She did sick. She ailing. She did sick from her time. So I fear that still and enough condolences to you and your whole family, Okay, she do it, yeah, man. She bought well. Yeah, man, 102. She bought well, man. Salute. People with good heart, man. She bought well. Big score that enough people now bat and go near it, See? Enough people now bat and go near it. Yeah, man, we are waiting for the press briefing to start. But we just go knocking some things. And they said some of us keep it up there so it start when it see the same time. Yeah. Should I start from 10 but not start yet? Yeah, man, enough respect. 110 don't. Yeah, man. No, run here, so I salute, yeah, man. We have condolences and we still salute. Yeah, man, we have to salute, man. One way else, man. Yeah, man, we have to salute 102. Great score that, With enough people, when you see us about them, they have not seen coming by now. You have a lot of sickness that take them out and other things that take them out. Still, no people they not live, well, the youth them are Jamaica now turn endangered species when them are start now.
Thank you. Let me say a special good morning to everyone gathered here, to members of the media, our partners, those who have joined us online. Thank you for being with us. This is our second press conference post Hurricane Melissa. We thought it is important for us to give you first-hand knowledge from our members of parliament in the constituencies and parishes that were hardest hit by the hurricane. And it is important that factual information be provided, constituency by constituency update be provided, and we're here to expose what we have discovered to be the national gaps in the recovery process and really a suboptimal recovery process. So there are inequities, clear gaps in the relief distribution, and communication failures at the central government level that we think are problematic to the entire recovery process. False claims as well have also been made by members of the government, and we're here to respond to those claims. We have joining us for this press conference Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golin, uh, MPs from Westmoreland, Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, Dr. Dayton Campbell, Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, and Western Westmoreland, Ian Hayles. We also have MPs from Hanover, from Western Hanover, Heather Miller Bennett, Eastern Hanover. We're also joined position spokesperson for health and wellness, Dr. Alfred Dawes, and later throughout the press conference of Parliament for Northeast St. Elizabeth, Zulika, Jess. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important that we approach the recovery process with bipartisan support, with consensus from a wide range of stakeholders. And we're going to move now to hear from our members of parliament in Westmoreland. We're going to hear from Dr. Dayton Campbell. It was his constituency that can be regarded as ground zero for hurricane. Dr. Campbell.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Senator Cleveland. This morning, I just want to give an update as to where we are in terms of Eastern Westmoreland and what has been done and what we are recommending to be done. So Eastern Westmoreland is where you would find New Hope, which is where landfall was made. And I believe it is the only constituency where the eye of the storm went across all of the constituency as a Category 5 hurricane. It left a trail of devastation and disaster. And we have estimated that approximately 5,000 houses have been totally destroyed. I'm not referring to houses that were damaged. I'm talking about those that are totally destroyed, just rubble remaining. We have countless others that suffered significant damage, moderate damage, and mild damage to the infrastructure. In terms of churches, schools, police station, health centers, all of those were also severely damaged and non-functional in the immediate wake of the hurricane. This, I believe, makes us one of the hardest hit areas, and currently there is a need for urgent intervention, especially in the area of housing and temporary housing solution for the residents. The response has been inadequate, delayed, and sometimes even inappropriate in my mind. And I say this because one would expect that coming out of a hurricane of this magnitude, that having made landfall in the constituency, that would have seen mobilization of government ministries, departments, and agencies to that area and intervention being made to deal with the issues confronting the people. I want to thank, though, members of the private sector, the private companies, private individuals, non-governmental organizations, including GEM Foundation, Samaritan's Purse, World Central Kitchen, Mercy Chefs. Had it not been for some of these groups, I don't know what would have happened to the residents of Eastern Westmoreland, because they have stepped in a big way to ensure that some of the things that are needed have been done thus far. We benefited from a visit of some of the CARICOM leaders, and President Ali out of Guyana committed to doing 200 roofs for some of the affected residents between Bluefields and White House. And in putting together the meeting, to that, when the JDF and Ministry of Labour and ODPEM called the meeting, they said they wanted to welcome the 2 members of parliament, in which the government is inserting their political operatives in the response mechanism and bypassing, circumventing the elected officials. I represent all of the constituents of Eastern Westmoreland. I have absolutely no interest in how they voted. This is a humanitarian crisis. It is not a political matter. And as elected officials, we have to be involved and consulted in the process, because we know the communities, we know the areas, we know the people. Even in relation to the distribution of aid, to just have the JDF alone going into a committee, into a community, is not sufficient, because they won't know the lay of the land, they won't know the residents, and as such, that has left a lot of gaps. So I want to point out specifically some things now. Shelter. The shelters that are in the constituency, they have been inappropriate from the beginning, and they continue to be inappropriate. There isn't a bed or a cot or anything in any of the shelters. To be frank, there are persons that are not even aware that some of the shelters are still open with over 20 persons in each one of them. And that means if you're not aware, you couldn't possibly be making any provisions for the residents within those shelters. The persons who are in the shelters are obviously the most vulnerable. They don't have anywhere to stay, they don't have any relatives to stay with, and that's the reason why they're at the shelter. And I realized that the Ministry of Education has also taken on an initiative to reopen schools as soon as possible, which I support, because we want to decrease the learning loss. But in moving the persons from these shelters, majority of which are schools, so that school can reopen, certainly we can't just move them without making provision for them to stay elsewhere. In terms of emergency evacuation and shelter, housing of these persons, we have not seen any of those tents that are supposedly in the country that should be made available. I'm told that it was said in the Senate on Friday that tents went to Dayton Campbell, unless there is another Dayton Campbell that represents somewhere in Jamaica. It's certainly not this one. I have not been made aware of any tents. And I want to be on record as saying, I will never support moving out the persons out of the shelter unless we make provision for them. I will block it myself personally. That is inhumane, and we have to do better. So yes, we want the schools to open, but we must make adequate provision before we move the persons out of the shelters. We have, in looking at how we respond to the housing crisis, there are still persons that are on the tarpaulin, still persons that are on a sheet of zinc. You still see mothers and children just on a sheet of zinc or on a piece of tarpaulin, right? There are still houses without tarpaulin that are yet to be covered. I have so far been told of allocations to the constituency, $3 million for cleaning in the prep work before the hurricane came. And that is after we made advocacy for some allocation, because initially we were told that Western Jamaica is not a priority and there was no allocation. Then there was an allocation of $1.5 million that was made twice. So that's another $3 million. That was to get care packages and tarpaulins. Now, if you get a care package and you put $5,000 worth of supplies in it, that would only get you 600 care packages for a constituency with over 40,000 persons. Then there's an allocation of $10 million for housing. And I've said it elsewhere that the Welcome to Montego Bay sign is $17 million. And we are given an allocation of $10 million in a constituency where 5,000 homes were totally destroyed. It is totally insufficient to meet the need that is there.
True.
And there is $3 million to RADA, which we have not been able to access as yet. That for a constituency where landfall was made, that has the majority of deaths, that has several persons still in shelters, several persons homeless, 5,000 houses destroyed, is totally insufficient in terms of governmental response to the crisis that is there. We have been able, through Samaritan's person, I want to give Minister Tufton credit, because despite our history of having confrontations in the Parliament, he's the only Minister of Government that has informed me of his visit and involved me in his visit to the constituency. Others have said they're coming, but they have not actually made an attempt to ensure that we can actually connect whilst they are within the constituency. Their Starlink seems to malfunction when they are in Eastern Westmoreland. But we've been able to set up a field clinic in White House, and GEM Foundation has been able to re-roof the health center in Betheltown, White House, and in Darliston, and thus we're able to offer some medical care. There's still a significant gap, and MP Dawes is here that will speak to some of the health-related concerns, but there's still a significant gap where healthcare is concerned, and even just the disposal of human waste. It can't be that difficult for a country to put some portable toilets in a constituency that has been devastated. So at least we can discard of human waste in a safe and appropriate way. The distribution system that is there is also dysfunctional. We cannot have persons just driving into a constituency and just going randomly into areas without no form of logistics workout. There needs to be a contact point in each division. We are not trying to commandeer what people are bringing. I'm not saying to persons you can't take things to your community or to your family. I'm simply saying that we should know so we don't have duplication of the efforts. And what is happening currently is that people are on the main and they receive several times over. Then we have sick, indigent, disabled, those in the more remote parts of the constituency that are not benefiting. You would have seen the exchange in Parliament about the number of care packages distributed. You can't go to a community one time in 20 days when this food package is slated to last for just 3 to 4 days. What is expected of those persons for the additional time? Right? So there needs to be a proper structure that is placed that ensures that relief item can go to those areas. We've proposed the Adopt a Family initiative to give accommodation to some persons using containerized housing. And I want to thank the persons who have contributed to that thus far. And we've been able to deliver 6 units, and we have another 6 that are ordered and ready to be distributed. This is intended to be a temporary solution.
Thank you.
The simplest thing in the short term.
Thank you.
It's not a proposal for us to have a constituency with pure containerized houses
Thank you.
across of the constituency.
Yes.
We want the situation in Westmoreland in terms of land tenureship to be regularized. We put a proposal on the table to move the time period to own government land, to move it from 6 years to 25 years. That's something that the government should immediately take on, right? To ensure that we can give the lands to these persons and that they can, some of them can build their own structures that can withstand hurricane. And the government as well should look at low income solutions on government lands for these persons. The aim is not to have boardhouses being rebuilt, because that's an invitation for a second disaster. This was with us a few days ago, and he stated that the videos and the pictures don't do justice, and that it is total devastation, and it's going to take a long time to rebuild the infrastructure. He said they will have to be creative, and he has proposed that we need to get a generator in Darliston and one in White House so that we can at least power the police station, the health centers, and those things. A lot of persons are not cognizant of what is going on out in the western end of the country. Eastern Westmoreland is not what it used to be. The lives of the residents has been severely affected, and it will take a long time for them to return to normalcy. I know people are in a haste to move on, but in your haste to move on, do not forget that you have brothers and sisters that are on the fringes of survival. They are suffering and they need assistance urgently. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, you see, the housing thing can be a permanent solution. It's right. We tell them, yes.
MP Dwayne Vaz.
Cantina, yes.
Good morning, everyone. I want to say a special good morning to my constituents of Central Westmoreland. I'm going to begin by speaking really on housing. And as Dr. Campbell mentioned, each member of parliament was given an allocation of $10 million. What I want to break down to residents is the minimum we're supposed to give each person is 100,000, and that really means that we can only assist a maximum of 100 people in the constituency. And our constituency is the largest when it comes down to registered voters, it's over 52,000, which actually means we should have over 80,000 people living in the constituency. So we know it's a huge constituency, and assisting 100 people from the government grant is simply inadequate, as you will recognize. The reason we got so much damage in Hurricane Melissa with regards to our housing stock is the same land tenure issue. So because most people don't own the land, they tend to build temporary structures that can be moved if necessary. So most persons are afraid of building permanent structures because if the owner comes for the land, then they will have to leave. A lot of this land is government land, as was said by Dr. Campbell just now, and the government has to use this opportunity to create an environment where people can actually own that piece of land, where they can build permanent structures. We think about 10,000 persons or more were affected by Hurricane Melissa. And when I say affected, I mean total destruction plus damage to roofs, major damage I'm talking about. And as I said, this is because of the type of housing that we have in our constituency. And this is something we have to fix in the short and medium term as we move forward. The immediate needs of the constituency as we speak, we have been getting another assistance with regards to food, water, tarpaulins and stuff like that. But the need has really shifted to housing material, because every community we visit now to hand out food packages, people are asking the same question. When will the housing material grants start? When will people start seeing people getting material to fix their structures? So the need that we have now, which I think is the most immediate and short-term need now, is actually to get the materials in so persons can start rebuilding. Some persons have started on their own, family, friends, assisting, communities helping each other, but a lot of people are still there looking at each other, not knowing which angle to turn, not knowing where to do, because they really can't afford to start. And these are the people we have to look for. And I know the assessment is going on now, but there are thousands of residents who are just there wondering where the help will come from. And as I said, the government must step in here, because it will take the efforts of the government in a significant way for us to get people back on track to the lives they were living before Hurricane Melissa. We also have a road crisis, and I must add the bridge crisis to it. There's a particular bridge in the Froome area where the road was cut away, and that has compromised the bridge. It's a main road going from Savlamar to Grangel, and we have to look into that immediately. Most of the roads were bad before Hurricane Melissa, but they have gotten worse. And it is causing a lot of traffic pileup in some areas because the road is so bad. So we actually need the representatives from the government also to ensure that things are put in place so we can start some immediate works on these particular areas that we have so many issues. We speak also of the shelters that we have now. We still have a few shelters open, and the issue, as was stated by Dr. Campbell, is that leaving the shelters, they really have nowhere to go. So the government needs to put something in place where people know leave the shelters. They might have to set up temporary structures for them in the meantime. but something must be done because people cannot leave the shelters without knowing where they're going. They would not be there if they had somewhere else to go. So it's a serious issue that we're facing as we speak. The distribution that we're seeing so far, and I spoke of it in Parliament a couple of weeks ago when the helicopter went down in Landale and the members of the government in the era were called on to come because they were on spot before everybody else. I spoke of it, the Prime Minister dismissed what I said, but what I said was repeated twice since he spoke. And the most recent occurrence was this week, when at an activist, a known JLP activist premises, that was where the distribution was done. And we have to look at how we're doing these things. I don't know who came up with that idea, who thought this would look like a good idea to have the food packages being distributed from that location, but it was obviously a terrible idea. And we're saying that if you're going to be distributing any package at all, there is a representative in the constituency that you should contact and should assist with the coordination of these things. Whenever we are going out to do distribution, everybody we see in the communities, we give packages. We're not looking at who is PNP or JLP or no P. We're in a crisis situation and the government needs to act in that way. I get the feeling that the government still doesn't realize that we are in a crisis. But the crisis we're in, we need to understand that people are people. We're Jamaicans and we must treat people as Jamaicans. The gaps, before I close, between what is needed and what we have gotten. I stated earlier that we have mostly gotten packages with food, water, stuff like that, from most of the private donors. The only assistance we have gotten from the government was the $3 million that was mentioned by Dr. Campbell earlier. Every other assistance with regards to food, packages, and water have come from private donors. We have to thank all of these persons who have been coming out. There have been major organizations, like for example, GEM that was mentioned earlier, but there have been numerous private individuals who have come into the parish. Some of them are from the parish, some are not, but they have lent a helping hand, and the residents of the constituency have been truly appreciative of what has been done so far. So just in closing, I just want to say Central Westmoreland needs the assistance. I know Dr. Campbell said he was the worst hit, but I would beg to differ because Central was equally hit, I think. And if you look at the stretch coming down from White House, after leaving Eastern Westmoreland and Bluefields, the entire stretch coming to Ferris looks the same way. If you turn going to Montego Bay, the entire waterworks stretch looks the same way as White House and Belmont. So it was total devastation in the constituency. And as I said, it's the largest constituency when it comes down to the amount of people, which means that we need special attention, and asking everybody who is listening to this press conference that we need as much attention as we can possibly get. So I'm going to say to the residents of the constituency, to hold firm. We will do whatever we can to assist the process, and you can rest assured that your member of parliament will do anything possible to get back on track to where it was before Hurricane Melissa. I thank you.
Thank you. Hear from the Member of Parliament from Western Westmoreland about the devastation in his constituency and the poor response from the government. MP Ian Hayles.
Thank you, Leader of the Opposition, fellow colleague, members of Parliament. Good morning. I want to first start off by thanking the charitable organizations that have come on board and have played a role in this hurricane. They have done more than the government.
True.
And I'm ashamed to say that I represent a constituency in Westmoreland that we're a part of the government, we're a part of the country. And at the same time, private sector, private individuals, charitable organizations have done more than the government of the land. 1 month, it's almost a month, I think today is a month that we went through the hurricane. 4 weeks from now, it is Christmas. I have over 1,000 homes that have been lost, gone. and probably around 5,000 to 6,000 other citizens that the Hurricane Melissa have affected. And I ask myself the question every day as a member of parliament, and I know my colleagues do also, when we get up in the morning. How you going to help all of these 6 to 7, 10,000 Jamaicans that have been affected? And in terms of the assessment that is going on, I called last week, I spoke to an individual, I spoke to the manager, and I asked a question. I said, are there any assessment that is taking place in Western Westmoreland? And the answer is yes, they went to 2 areas. And I said, tell me the 2 areas that you went to. And he listed the 2 areas. And those 2 areas were not the 2 areas that were basically the areas that were damaged beyond recognition. And I see where the assessment now that is taking place in communities that basically supported the Jamaica Labour Party.
True.
All I'm saying is we can't do things so ad hoc. We are all in this together, both PNP, JLP, NOP, we are in this together as a country. And, you know, I want to get back to the assessment though, because the assessment leaves a lot of questions. It is said that you have that are volunteering to do the assessment across the constituencies that are there. I've asked the question, who are these volunteers? What are the criteria / requirement for each volunteer? So that even if we can put some individuals, civil society, church, and individuals, put them forward so that they can help in terms of speeding up the assessment. Look, I just think if we don't put back some of these Jamaicans, even give them a roof over their head between now and Christmas, we're going to face some headwinds in this country that we have never faced before. And why do I say that? To every home you go to in the country, there's a level of frustration that I've never seen before. People have lost everything. And the frustration is, when are we going to get some help? You can't look at me as a member of parliament and say, you know what, pick 100 of your citizens. And when you pick the 100 citizens, what about the rest that going to turn against me as member of parliament? What about those individuals? Because they need help too. How do you go ahead and pick the 100 to give 100,000? For me, I'm doing mine a little different. I'm giving each church one individual within that community that has been severely affected. I don't look at this thing as political PNP, JLP. So the church is going to get involved along with myself in terms of ensuring that we can pick 100 of our citizens. But picking 100 from 9 or 8,000 that have been affected, it's very difficult. You know, in terms of distribution, I've gone through the last couple of weeks disappointed as a Jamaican and as a representative of the people. You see ministers of government come in. You see ministers of government come in, you see government entity comes in. And they go to a particular area that you don't have damage in some of those areas that they go to give out, to distribute food to our citizens. All I'm saying is, look, we have to do better as a country. We have to do better as a government. It can't continue. It can't continue the way it has been going. People in their, in my constituency, I don't know, since the hurricane, we've been getting a lot of rain. And most of our citizens are without a roof, without tarpaulin, just basically fending on their own. Can't help themselves, can't do nothing. The packages that are going around being distributed. People have gone out, they get one food package, I would say probably around 3-4 weeks ago, and they haven't gotten any more help from the government. So there's no assessment. Food package is only 600 per MP. Thank God for the charitable organization. But look, I just want to appeal to the government. I just want to appeal to the government. Come on board with the elected officials. the elections are over. The elections are over. And this crisis allow you to think as a human and not as wear a hat as a political representative. It is that hard. There's a level of hardship that is in Western Jamaica. And I just want to say, look, make we ensure that over the next 4 weeks, we can ensure that we put as much Jamaicans back in their home with their roofs. We have to do that as a country. It can't continue so. Make we ensure we help some of these individuals, whether PNP or JP, make we get together, government and opposition, working together in ensuring that we can serve the people of Western Westmoreland and the areas that have been damaged. Make we just stop all this foolishness now. You can't come in my constituency. And when you come in the constituencies, when you leave, you're going to tell me. Or when you reach, you're going to tell me. And then you're going to say, you know what? I'll leave 25 bags of food around the corner for you. It can't continue, sir. And then you go and look for me now. And when I ask you the question, when I ask you the 2 areas that you assess, how you assess those 2 areas? What are the criteria? What are the strategy? And then you turn to me and then you say to me, you know what? We have 2 staff members who live in those areas. Where is the strategy? How are we going to deal with all? I don't even think the government know what's going on. It's clear that the government didn't plan for this. They didn't plan for it. And I want every PNP and every JLP, every like-minded Jamaican, where you get in your car every week and you drive down Common Country. I want you to sit down and ask yourself the question, where is the government? What has the government done? I mean, I'm thankful that they said to me I can clean some of my roads, but some of the roads across the other 2 constituencies are not cleared as yet. And how can you say to a foreigner to do more than you as the government here, where the people elect and vote for and put in? And pay taxes. And me have to come here now at the press conference and I beg the government to come on board to play a role with us. The caretaker is not the MP. Nobody elected the caretaker. He's a private citizen. Nobody elected him or her. But it seems like the election is still going on. Enough is enough, man. It's time this foolishness cut out.
True. Georgia.
Thank you, MP.
Maria.
We're going to
No
shift
good, man. No good.
statements to Hanover, and it would appear as if Hanover is left out of the conversation about recovery. It appears as if persons don't know that Hanover was also badly affected, and we're going to hear from the members of Parliament. We're going to start with Western Westmoreland. Yes, Western Hanover. We're going to start with MP Heather Miller Bennett.
Good morning, Leader of Opposition, media, colleagues. Good morning again. I stand before you this morning, not just to tell you about what Hurricane Melissa did, but to tell you how it has affected the lives and livelihood of the people of Western Hanover. It is clear that the government forgot about Hanover. It is clear that their efforts to help Western Hanover has been limited or non-existent. We have over 8,000 families that were affected. And to date, as you've heard, we've gotten $1.5 million prior to hurricane and another 1.5 to assist the residents of Western Hanover. What can that do?
And
That's a drop in the bucket.
Yes.
If it weren't for donors, dog nyam will suffer in Western Hanover.
You see it, people?
As an elected representative, it hurts when you have a limited number of package and you have to decide which community you go to next, when you have so many communities that are affected. I'm particularly concerned about the assessment process that is being done by the Ministry of Labor. What we're finding happening is that the Ministry of Labor is unable to tell us how many homes they have assessed. They're unable to tell us how many communities they've gone in. What you're finding is that they don't know. They're able to say that Hanover has 4,388 persons that they have assessed. But in my constituency alone, I can tell you we have far exceeded that number. So this hodgepodge, patchy way of doing the assessment is unacceptable. This slow pace way of going about the assessment is not benefiting our residents. So while they take their time in assessing, people are suffering. People are in need. Persons are outside, they're living in their cars. They're living on the streets. They're catching with family members. They're catching with friends. They don't know where else to go. And so this hodgepodge way of assessing, it's not the way to go. And so I'm urging the government to engage agencies that know about data collection, like Statin, who they already have the resources, SDC, to assist them in going out to do these assessments. I am particularly concerned as well about our schools. Many of our schools were used as shelters, many still not repaired. We have started back school, and yes, we need children to be in schools, and we need them back in schools urgently. But putting them in unsafe environment is not acceptable. Students are back in schools, but we don't see the school bus system back up. And so they're in regular clothing, and so they're being charged adult fares. What is being done? Parents are already without a job and cannot maintain paying adult fares. So what about that school bus system? Why is it that the school bus system is not yet in place despite students are back in school? Many of our students are on path. The schools are without electricity. They're without connectivity. The schools are unable to provide food for these students on path because they can't do storage. What is being done? I urge the government to put in place some kind of food feeding program. What about generators for the school? What about the several generators that I heard were donated? Can't the schools in Western Hanover be given generators to assist them with their refrigerators for storage so that they can provide for their students? While we are giving out these care packages, there's concern about where am I going to live? So yes, you feed me for a week or two. Where are we going to live? No roof, no house. We've gotten an allocation for housing. As my colleague MP stated, who do you decide? How do you decide? I see caretakers coming in. I want to go back to the packages. I see caretakers giving out packages. I see JLP operatives in the constituency giving out packages. I see state ministers coming in, giving out packages. What is lacking is communication and coordination. I urge the government to set up some kind of centralized hub that disseminate information on a regular basis, either through a WhatsApp channel, through regular press briefing. Let us know what exactly is being distributed and to who. As an elected representative, I'm on the ground. I have counselors. They know the space. They know who are the persons being damaged. Utilize them. Utilize us. Utilize the community leaders. We see NGOs, we see JDF, we see caretakers, we see state ministers. We see them coming with packages. We know the space. Talk to us. So we need a communication, we need a coordinated way and not a hodgepodge, patchy way of distribution. These are livelihoods, lives and livelihoods we're playing with. These are families. Many persons may be not directly affected by Hurricane Melissa, but they are effective because they're without jobs. The tourism industry has been basically non-existent. They are without jobs. So I urge the government to put something in place, put some kind of relief support, put some kind of allocation, wage allocation for a short-term period. I urge the government to look into how do we support families, the fisher folks that have lost their livelihood, how do we support them? How about microloans, offering them low interest microloans with some kind of grace period? How do we support them? How do we support our farmers in the short term? What are we doing? They have lost their farms. Western Hanover have quite a few farmers up in the Askinish area, Pell River area, Kendall. They've lost, as far as I know, the assessment has been slow. And so once again, I urge the government to ensure that we measure what we're doing. Because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so I say to the people of Western Hanover, hold stream. I will continue to advocate for you to ensure that the resources get to you. Ministry of Labor asking you to step up, partner with agencies who know what to do. Ask the government and other state ministers coming into the space, communicate and coordinate. Because if we're not doing this together, we're wasting resources. I'm going to ask persons out there, my donors, I want to thank you and ask others to come on board. We're at the phase now where people need homes, they need their roof back on. We've started an initiative, Help Me Fix My Roof. Because despite we know that the structures that we have are not necessarily the ideal, but the people need somewhere where they can live. They need a roof over their heads. And so I ask donors to come on board. The government not doing enough. And they seem like they don't business about Hanover. They have a responsibility to the people of Western Hanover. And I'm asking the government to step up and do what they're supposed to do, while I implore and ask donors to come on board and help the people of Western Hanover to fix their roof. This is not politics. This is humanitarian. People are hurting, their lives and livelihoods have been damaged and lost. I thank you.
Thank you, MP Miller Bennett. We're going to hear from the other member of parliament in Hanover. She has been advocating relentlessly for her people. I welcome Member of Parliament Andrea Purkiss.
Good morning, everyone. Party President Mark Golding, my colleagues, to the viewers. For the people of Eastern Hanover, the date October 28th marked the beginning of a crisis that continues weeks later. Let me be clear about what Hurricane Melissa did to Eastern Hanoverians, because the scale of devastation has been systematically underreported and in many cases completely ignored by the media coverage. Every single board house in Eastern Hanover has been affected, damaged, destroyed. Approximately 5,000 houses are without roofs. Every farm in the constituency suffered severe damage. Half of our health centers sustained significant structural damage. Our schools are so badly affected. This morning, I got a call from the principal of Brownsville Primary, and she asked me who is responsible for the persons in the shelters. Her name is Miss Bucknell. She has started school last week because parents are not able to help the children at home and prepare them for exams that are coming in a few months. And so she rushed to open Brownsville Primary, and I understand. But she's crying out for help because she cannot be the person that is responsible for the persons that are now staying in the shelter. So I'm asking government to pay attention to the schools. All of our schools have been affected. Most of the schools in Eastern Hanover, they have no roof. Residents in Chigwell, Forest, Woodsville, and other areas were trapped for weeks. There is a man-made bridge in Woodsville from 2022. That bridge was partially collapsed. It was in 2023, it went down for good. The residents are in dire need of attention from government. That man-made bridge was destroyed again. And so the residents of the Woodsville area, they're asking for urgent attention. Water supplies were contaminated. I myself was marooned in Cascade. Residents, though, came out and assisted us. And that is a pattern that I've noticed since Hurricane Melissa, that residents have taken it upon themselves to do the work of government because the parish of Hanover has not been included in many things, especially where relief is concerned. The morning after the hurricane, residents assisted me in cleaning 18 miles of roadways, so I could get to the main road to coordinate relief efforts. I want to address the government's response or lack thereof. It is true that affected constituency received $10 million. We have done, many of my colleagues have done the math. For housing, it is not adequate. We have a number of houses in Hanover. From my balcony, I am looking at 3 houses that are flat and 5 without roof. The people of Eastern Hanover, they've had to seek comfort living under tarps. That's not good enough. We need help from government. We need ministers to come in and be on the ground as they were before the election. The people of Eastern Hanover, they're demanding your presence. The question I must ask, and the question every Jamaican should be asking, if the allocation on paper is equal, why is help actually reaching our residents so dramatically unequal? Where is the relief going? Why are communities still waiting? Government response has been extremely slow in Eastern Hanover. Corporate Jamaica, though, has stepped up. Companies like Flow, Red Stripe, CM Recycling Company Limited, Trial Hotel, and Billboard King Foundation have provided more immediate, tangible relief than government agencies.
That bad.
Our diaspora family responded with urgency and generosity.
You hear this?
And I must thank PNP leadership, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, a proud Hanoverian, along with President Mark Golding and MPs Anthony Hilton and Julian Robinson, who have been mobilizing assistance, and some of them have been on the ground providing moral support to our traumatized communities. Eastern Hanover is facing a public health crisis that needs immediate intervention. Western Jamaica has already confirmed 11 cases of leptospirosis since Hurricane Melissa. And that's a deadly waterborne disease. I spoke of waterborne diseases 2 weeks ago in Parliament, still no attention. And on behalf of the citizens of Eastern Hanover, I want to ask the question, what is the purpose of elected representatives going to Parliament and voicing the concerns of the citizens without any notes being taken or any attention being paid to these citizens? There is literally now a mountain of garbage at my personal gate. I live in my constituency. The National Solid Waste Management Authority has failed to maintain consistent collection, and our residents are suffering the consequences. We're deeply concerned about leptospirosis, dengue fever, and other waterborne diseases threatening our people in areas still cut off from proper medical attention. Whether the design is by oversight or the Ministry of Health has omitted the parish of Hanover from its island-wide plug-in schedule, I don't know. But believe it or not, Hanover, as a parish, we have areas where the water continues to rise. The water has a stench. And up to date, I have not been contacted by anyone from the Ministry of Health to say we are going into these areas to check, to run some tests, to check on the citizens. We have a number of senior citizens in Chigwell, in Forest. These senior citizens have had to travel by means of foot track to get to hospitals, to the 3 out of 10 clinics that we have operating now. Some communities remain isolated. Residents still lack access to potable water. Families are living under tarpaulins or in homes with no roofs. Children are trying to attend schools. I am here today to make our needs absolutely clear. For the most part, Hanover is still technologically marooned. A lot of persons are still not able to get connection. Those Starlinks and generators were given to the government. We did not even receive a single generator to power our constituency office to serve the people that elected us and the entire constituency. We need the Ministry of Health and the local health department to deploy mobile medical units to isolated communities. We also need aggressive vector control measures. We need consistent garbage collection immediately before we face, as I spoke about before, a full-scale disease outbreak. 7 of 10 of the health centers need to be repaired with immediate effect. Our roads need more clearing. Our water systems need restoration. Our schools need immediate structural assessment and repairs so they can serve the essential functions. Our farmers need seeds. And I know there has been an allocation through RADA, but we're asking for more. To the people of Eastern Hanover, I see you. I have walked through your communities. I have witnessed your suffering and your remarkable resilience. You elected me to fight for you, and I will not stop fighting until you receive the help you deserve and the dignity you are owed as a citizen of Jamaica. I want to share stories. And these are not just stories, but things that I've seen with my own eyes. I witnessed the previous Member of Parliament, Dave Brown, driving through my community with the same care packages that the government gave me, only 250 care packages, 5 tarps, and 50 cases of water. To date, that is all that I have received. Now, when a previous member of parliament drives through communities like Paddington, Cocoon, Claremont, Retrieve, Cascade, Hunside, it cannot be 250 care packages that he received.
Wholeness.
I am asking the government. Government had an opportunity to be great, to look good. After the hurricane, I reached out to JLP caretakers. I left messages for them and I assured them that whatever relief I receive as Member of Parliament will be shared with them. I did not receive much.
You shouldn't even do that with them, caretaker,
Where the
no.
assessment is concerned, I sent out a schedule 2 days ago on a community group. It is a very touchy topic, but the government is playing politics. When the Ministry of Labor and Social Security goes to Axandas, 2 days. Axandas is a tiny community in Chester Castle Division, and areas like Horton Grove that are 5 times the size of Axandas, still no visits. Tell me there is no politics involved.
I play politics, man.
I want to thank the public sector, the private sector. I want to thank the families from Hanover that are living overseas, the diaspora, for stepping up and helping us. Red Stripe, you came in and you were so amazing, over 500 care packages. Flo, you came in twice, not once, but 2 times into Chester Castle. Chester Castle is my ground zero in Eastern Hanover. I want to make an appeal to government that the people of Eastern Hanover, they're watching you. The people of Jamaica, they're watching you. The people internationally, people are looking at what you're doing.
That's true.
I have yet to go into some of my strong areas, but I've gone into Pumpkin Bottom, where 80% of the residents voted against me. My mission is one of humanitarian. I cannot be doing politics in such a catastrophic time. And I am asking the government to cut out the PR and get to the people. I have nothing against the Jamaica Defense Force, but I can tell you that I am against the government giving them the care packages to get to our people. I've witnessed myself in Sandy Bay and Hopewell on the main road, 2 trucks dropping off care packages. Our seniors in the lanes are not benefiting. The residents up in Mount Pelion are not benefiting. The residents inland are not benefiting. The people of Eastern Hanover deserve better. Finally, to the people of Eastern Hanover, we're strong. We are resilient. We will get our constituency back together. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Purkiss. We are joined by Member of Parliament for Northeast St. Elizabeth, Zalika Jess, and we'll hear from her now.
Good morning. Today I come before you with a very heavy heart. Today I wish I didn't have to speak because I understand that by speaking, I run the risk of being accused of complaining. But I speak because I have a duty to the people of Northeastern St. Elizabeth who elected me to be their voice and to be their compass. My issues today are multiple, but I will give you the abridged version. And I'll start with the long-standing practice, which has really merged into a convention whereby ministers or officials of the government ought properly to notify a sitting member of parliament before entering that MP's constituency to do any government-related issue. Now, that is not just a matter of parliamentary etiquette or constituency etiquette. It has its rationale in ensuring that as the duly elected representative of the people, you can be informed as to what is taking place in your constituency, so that by extension, you can inform the people, so that you can make yourself available when the government officials are present to continue to represent and advocate on behalf of your residents and your constituents on issues that concern them most, issues that you might not have an opportunity in the parliament to raise because of the rules of the parliament. In a time like this, a very sensitive time when the most vulnerable are most at risk, we expect that that practice would ensure that there is collaboration between the government officials and the elected representatives to ensure that persons can benefit. In my constituency, I have had to sit and watch as persons approach me the day before a visit to ask me if I heard that the Minister of Local Government is coming into the constituency. What is it that they're coming to do? Where can they meet them? And I have no answer to the questions because I was not notified in advance. In my constituency, first, the Speaker of the House came, and perhaps she came in her capacity as an individual outside of the politics, but by her utterances, she made statements to suggest that she had visited communities, and every community that she visited, residents were not hopeful that they would get any assistance from me as the Member of Parliament. And I thought it was very unfortunate that in a time like this, we would seek to sow seeds of division and discord, because the Speaker of the House visited 3 communities, all strongholds of the Jamaica Labour Party. Not one PNP community was visited, not one PNP community was given any of the care packages. In fact, the areas visited are well known: Rocky Hill, Santa Cruz, Burn Savannah, which is regarded by Edward Seaga as Little Tivoli. No reference was made to any other communities, but the speaker formed the conclusion that every community she visited were not hopeful that they would get help to build back houses or do repairs. And I speak on that because she came into the community on Saturday morning, and by Saturday afternoon, the Minister of Local Government also visited the constituency. He distributed care packages, 60 to the sitting Jamaica Labour Party councillor, but I was not informed of his visit prior. The 3 other councillors who happened to be PNP councillors were also not informed of the Minister of Local Government's visit. And of course, they got no packages from the minister. Only the JLP council received packages. And finally, the Minister of Justice came on Friday, and my constituency office happened to be right next door to the venue that he visited. I was not notified in advance. No, it doesn't matter. I see the statement from the minister, and labeling a statement as being contained or filled with lies or accusing me of lying does not make it untrue, and it does not change the facts. The facts remain, as I stated in my earlier video, that the minister came into the constituency without prior notice. The minister came into the constituency, handed out or distributed supplies. It doesn't matter if it was 7 or 77. The parliamentary practice, the convention still remains. It is improper to visit an MP's constituency without prior notice. That is a practice that has long been observed. And if it is that the government is now departing from that practice, then we need to know why. Because we're striving towards good governance. In England, they have codified that almost, in a sense, by having ministers' code, which set that out, that ministers of government must notify and not just give just passing notice on the day, but proper notice. Perhaps it is time for us to implement that here in Jamaica. Secondly, I speak on the issue of housing because the speaker made mention that persons that she spoke within the communities, the JLP communities that she visited, were not hopeful that they would get assistance. Like many of these members of parliament, I also received only $10 million as an allocation for housing repair. On the very first day that my constituency office reopened after the hurricane, we had over 600 persons in attendance at the office asking for housing assistance, over 600. And when I went into communities like Mosquito Bottom in Windsor, they didn't even know that there was a deadline given by the government to report on matters such as those, so their information was never captured. I raise it to say to you that the government, you've heard, has given a directive that they are recommending that you give 100,000 to each beneficiary. I have not been able to do so. I have taken the decision that I cannot choose who should benefit and who should not. I cannot choose who should get help to put on back their roofs and who should not when everybody needs help to put on back their roofs. And so every one of those 600 and odd persons who applied for housing assistance, I've submitted their names. And so it means that they're not going to get 100,000 each. It means that some of them going to get $12,000, which is only probably 3 sheets of zinc.
100,000 can do.
When the funding
So
is not sufficient. And let me make it clear. I have PNP people who voted for me. I have JLP people who voted for me. I may have people who never support the politics before and them go vote. So I don't care who people vote for. When I go into a community to distribute supplies or to assist people, I have never asked them who they voted for. Once I have it, I'm going to share it, even though it means sometimes getting quarrels from your own supporters who feel as though you're helping the other side more than how you're helping them. And I say this to say that we do not support the practice of division. We do not support the practice of undermining duly elected representatives whose only intent is to provide help for people who are suffering. We see people who are in need. We don't see JLP and we don't see PNP. We see people who are vulnerable and who are depending on the government to make the right decisions so that their lives can be better. And that's the only objective that we have over here on the People's National Party side. Now, finally, I speak to the issue of infrastructure. The constituency that I represent suffered not just physical loss to the houses or roadwork was completely destroyed in areas, particularly in Santa Cruz, where it seems as if a bomb was dropped overnight. We have holes in the roadways which were over 20 feet deep. Now, I've tried my best to assist, but these are all temporary gaps, temporary stop gaps, by using the debris that had been washed away to try and fill back the holes so that people can't say that they're marooned. But what is the plan going forward? Because one more show of rain and the whole of that wash away and people again going to be marooned. The people in Abraham, who even though we tried to fix the road and did the best that we could, they tell me that when rain fall, They still have to walk to get home up in the hills because the cars still can't manage because it's mud and dirt that was used. So it has slipped away and is slipping away. What is the plan? Are we going to wait until something disastrous happens before we put in place plans and solutions that will actually inure to the benefit of people? In Santa Cruz, we have a situation where all of the mud, all of the debris from the hills washed down into the town of Santa Cruz. So it is not uncommon for you to see people wearing dust masks when you visit Santa Cruz. What is the plan? The government has started to clear the roadway in Santa Cruz without any notification to me as the member of parliament. And now we are left with a situation where I don't know if there is funding that is left, but the road needs a water truck to actually wash away all of that mud, all of that debris. What is the plan for Santa Cruz? What is the plan for the areas in Thornton? Thornton has over 1,500, almost 2,000 persons, and 95% of Thornton lost roofs. Some houses have completely crumbled. What is the plan? Because my $10 million done, and I still don't know how we're going to help the rest of the residents in Windsor and the other areas, even in Brace River, that got flooded out and who go around and pick up 2 sheets of zinc and nail it on or tack it back on. But them know so the next shower of rain, them are going to wet up again and another strong gust of wind, it are going to blow off again. What is the plan? I close by saying that I have absolutely no intention to be cantankerous, and if I appear to be somewhat passionate, forgive me. But when you represent people who see you as their only hope, who come to you because they have nobody else to turn to, we have a duty to speak on their behalf, and we have a duty to hope that the government listens and the government acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Member of Parliament. Uh, it will appear as if we're on the cusp of a health crisis. And what we have recognized is that there is a suboptimal response from the government in this regard. We're going to have our opposition spokesperson for health and wellness, MP Alfred Dawes, to address the matter.
Thank you, Senator. Leader of the opposition, my colleague, members of parliament, journalists here, those who are tuning in, good morning. I also wish to greet those who are tuning in merely with the disgraceful intention of trying to distort what we say and to edit clips to present a false narrative to suit their own agenda. I greet those who have spent their lives playing politics to stop playing politics with people's lives. Today, I give you an update, having met with the technical team at the Ministry of Health, the minister himself, and being on the ground, conducting missions, meeting with persons who are actively involved in trying to improve and assess the health situation in the most badly affected Western parishes. We must give what is due to Caesar. The Ministry of Health has, in fact, done quite a bit, as Dr. Campbell had said earlier, in terms of being responsive to deploying some of the clinics and the restoration of services at some clinics and the improvement of the infrastructure of some hospitals, such as Cornwall Regional Hospital, having now had a roof replaced by Médecins Sans Frontières or Doctors Without Borders. We, however, are very concerned about whether or not public health care is getting the attention it deserves. We have to understand that the crisis that is unfolding now out west, it is not merely the realm of the Ministry of Health and the technocrats, doctors, nurses, and vector control workers, public health inspectors. It is not under their control. What is happening is that it is a multidisciplinary, multifaceted approach that is needed to stave off the impending crisis. We are already in the midst of a leptospirosis outbreak, and we could have seen this coming. We ought to focus not only on trying to send out information to say avoid streams and water, avoid rodents, but we ought to look at how we can address the environmental factors that are causing this outbreak. Garbage collection is an issue. It is piling up not just out west, but across the island. Even in my constituency, that was largely spared from the brunt of the hurricane. Water is an issue. We heard from the MPs that water is rising. In some areas, there is a stench of dead animals, and you cannot simply say to people, avoid contaminated water, when that is the only water that they have available. So we have to look at the cleanup, we have to look at the access, and it is this multimodal approach that we're going to have in tandem with the work of the Ministry of Health that is going to stave off a worsening of the leptospirosis outbreak, as well as try to mitigate, if not completely avoid, the threat of dengue and chickpea. When we speak about leptospirosis being an issue, it is a disease that is largely mild, but when it gets bad, and it can lead to death because of liver failure, bleeding out, renal failure, and therefore early diagnosis and treatment is essential. Questioning the capacity of the Ministry of Health to adequately confirm cases of leptospirosis. Do we have the capacity locally to test for leptospirosis? What thoughts are being given to deploying rapid kits into affected areas where we can test for the antibodies that are elevated when you have an acute infection? Early testing helped in COVID, and anyone with a passing knowledge of medicine understands that the earlier you intervene in a disease, the better the outcome, as well as the less likelihood you will have long-term complications. So we need to be testing. To say that we have 11 cases of leptospirosis begs questions. Are we testing enough? Are we missing cases? And if we are faced with a national outbreak, can we ramp up testing to have results back to see whether or not the case that we're dealing with in front of us as a physician is really leptospirosis or not? So we need that information from the Ministry of Health. And what are they saying about the use of rapid kits that can be made available at clinics and even with partnerships with private doctors, as well as distribution through volunteers who are going into the communities conducting medical missions. There are still critical shortages of basic medical supplies, manpower, and of course, functioning equipment, some of which would have been damaged during the passage of the hurricane. We know that there are patients who have lost medication because they do not have a fridge that is working, because they do not have a generator. And therefore, you have to be concerned about non-compliance as a result of these socioeconomic factors that are now more than ever playing a role in healthcare. We have gotten some complaints about the process to facilitate missions. There seems to be a lack of coordination on the ground, even if persons are fully registered and they have been listed as partners. They still face some obstacles, whether or not the team on the ground were expecting them, and who are they partnering with to mobilize the people in the community. In many instances, if the members of parliament are not a part of the mission initially, they do not have the wherewithal to rapidly get out persons and mobilize them to take advantage of the free medical services. So again, this is an echo for partnership and not just trying to have hegemony over the relief efforts, and this includes the medical missions. Now, when we speak about the way forward, because this is not going, the situation that exists on the ground is not going away anytime soon. There are too many people who are homeless. There are too many people who are marginally living on the fringes of survival. And as a result of that, the conditions that exist for leptospirosis to continue and for dengue and chickpea to have outbreaks here, we're only 90 miles away from Cuba, and they have more people with leptospirosis, with dengue and chickpea than there are people living in Jamaica, over 3 million. The conditions exist and they will continue to exist for a while. So we have to plan accordingly. We cannot wait until we see a spike in cases and then we have a knee-jerk reaction. We must be able to anticipate that there will be an outbreak, there will be a spike, certain communities will be affected more likely than others, and we try to stave it off and put in mitigating measures. I don't believe relying on PAHO. Cuba is dealing with their own epidemics right now. They have best practices that, because of the relationship that we've had with Cuba for quite some time, they're willing to share with us. Let us call on the Cubans for help. They have a very good system where they look at the environmental factors. Is there a lot of garbage? Is there a lot of stagnant water? Is there increased rainfall in the area? All of which we know has been described as happening out west. You look at these environmental factors, you look at the behavior of the people. Are they bathing in the rivers? Are they using exposed to contaminated water? You look at their access. Do they have access to healthcare, access to public education, to resources? If they get sick, they can report in or go to a hospital. And of course, you have to look at the history of the area. There are some places in Westmoreland that have a history of typhoid. Now, when you factor in all of these determinants that contribute towards an outbreak, you go in, you engage community leaders, you launch public education campaigns, you clean up the place, sanitize, ensure that you have adequate garbage collection, ensure that you have potable water, you treat breeding sites, you do fogging, get rid of the vectors, and then you may reach a point where you do not have a spike in cases. And that is real primary prevention. That is the basis of public health, which has been proven to work over 100 years now. So maybe 200 years from the cholera epidemic in England. So we want to entreaty those who are in charge of the disaster recovery to employ early warning systems for healthcare now, not just surveillance to say that you have spikes, but predicting the likely locations of outbreaks and intervening. And to do that, you must combine environmental data, behavioral patterns, historical outbreaks, and you must also ramp up testing capabilities, confirmation testing, as well as introducing rapid testing. And with that, we can have early intervention, the simple penicillin that can save lives in the case of leptospirosis, or the treatment of renal failure with fluids early out. Dengue, you identify when it has become the hemorrhagic fever where you're bleeding out, and have early intervention as well. And we must have a mechanism where you have real-time reporting of fever. If you have a fever, there must be a way for you to report that you have it so that you can get tested. Vector control has to be augmented by private contractors, bringing in back the part-time workers, but the schedule for vector control cannot be such that communities, such as mine in Southeast St. Catherine, basically have fogging once every 2 weeks at best, and we have 18 communities, and we are plagued with mosquitoes in Portmore. So we have to ramp up vector control immediately, and because garbage pile up leads to rodent infestation, we have to ensure that garbage is being collected across the island in a timely manner. For communities where you cannot effectively solve the issue, especially if there's rising groundwater, evacuate the residents. Get them out of the conditions that are going to lead to respiratory illnesses, waterborne diseases, as well as those that are vector-borne. And of course, you have to, and this is echoing the call of all my colleagues, do not try to do it alone. Engage both sides of the political divide, engage community-based organizations, the church, community leaders, get everybody on board to identify the most vulnerable, to pinpoint the areas where you have to have a heightened presence. And this is the only way we can have an effective response. We may have to consider looking at the distribution of mosquito nets and repellents to avoid persons who are living outdoors and in shelters getting bitten by mosquitoes. And of course, the Ministry of Health has to anticipate that if all of these measures fail, we're going to have a surge in patients coming into the hospitals. What is the surge plan in terms of bed capacity, in terms of staffing, testing, and treatment? We have to have a preparation, a plan in place for the worst case scenario. And then of course, rehabilitation, especially when it comes to CHIKV, is important for long-term productivity and pain control. And in all of this, I left this for last, mental health. People are numb now. They are not feeling and processing what is happening. You cannot have a psychologist or a mental health team going out and tell them better must come and then send them back to their tarpaulins to live. We must have coupled with mental health checks and interventions, hope for the people that their conditions will be improved in very short order, and we're not forgetting about them when the news teams have left and they are on their own, and we're looking at this situation as a 9-day wonder. We must have interventions coupled with the psychological effects, psychiatrists getting involved. All of this must be complemented by improvement, tangible improvement in their lives, so you give the people hope. This is where I leave it. This is what is happening on the ground. This is what we must prepare for. And if we don't prepare for it, we can have the expectations that we will pay for it in lives. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Dawes. I'm going to invite the leader of the opposition to close out the presentations in this morning's press conference.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone, members of the media, listeners, my colleagues who are here. We wanted to have this press conference this morning. It's the second press conference we've had since the hurricane hit Jamaica. First one was about a week after the hurricane hit. We're now about 4 weeks since that date, 3 weeks since the press conference. And I wanted to have the elected representatives of the people in the constituencies that have been extremely badly affected to have the chance. I wanted to give them a chance to describe to the media and the public what they're experiencing and the deficiencies in the response, the gaps that need to be filled, and the decisions that need to be taken. This is not to be anything other than responsible representatives of the people to bring to the attention of the authorities and the public what needs to be done to make the overall response more effective. We know that there are hundreds of thousands of people whose lives have been turned upside down by this cataclysmic event. And the effects of that event are ongoing. We talk about phases and initial response morphing into recovery and other phases. But the truth is that because of the very ad hoc arrangements that have been put in place thus far, the level of normalcy and stability that have returned to the lives of people in the badly affected areas is very erratic. Some people have received relief because of good fortune, happen to be living in close to the major arterial roads, or they have had the benefit of interventions from international and local NGOs and disaster relief organizations. But many, many others have had little or no interventions. And so the situation is not an even one. And there are far too many people still who are suffering from the initial effects of this hurricane. The opposition, as I said at the first press conference, and I want to repeat it now, we must not seek to score political points as a competitor of the government. This is not the time for that. We've just gone through a general election barely 2 months ago. This is a time when Jamaica's facing a huge disaster, an economic disaster, a social disaster, a humanitarian disaster. And the role of the opposition at a time like this is to help the government to respond as effectively as possible, because we want Jamaica to get back on its feet. We represent people who need that to happen. So when you see us perhaps disagreeing with the government on a particular issue, it is not as a result of being cantankerous or being trivial or petty. We take issue with those things that we think are fundamental and that we should not allow to be implemented in the originally proposed way, because it will have a deleterious effect. It will have an effect on the governance of the country or on the response to the disaster, which is suboptimal and needs to be improved. And that is how we have been attempting to approach this. Equity, transparency, and accountability are vital in the response to a disaster. We have heard numerous reports that political representatives of the governing party are being used to distribute government relief, taxpayer funded or donor funded through the government relief in ways which they have no legal or political standing constitutionally to play that role. Elected representatives must be included in things that are happening in their constituency so that they have information, so that their information can be shared with those who are operating on the ground, and you can work together with all stakeholders, including those who are representing the other side of the political fence, to get the best possible solution in a difficult situation. That is not happening. I have been bringing these incidents, as I hear of them, I have been bringing them to the attention of the Prime Minister through WhatsApp. He has not responded to me at all since last week, the Saturday before last, 10 days ago. I have not heard from him in response to any of my messages. So when the Minister of Information says that we have been communicating constantly, that is simply untrue. There has been a total cessation of any communication, certainly coming in my direction from the Prime Minister. I note that there's a decision that has been taken to enact legislation to establish a new reconstruction agency, the acronym NARA, National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, I believe, which will have wide powers to ensure that decisions can be taken very quickly when it comes to rebuilding, for example. I know that this is something that the private sector have been agitating for. and I see the need for it. But where you are circumventing normal procedures because the circumstances that we're in require that, it is all the more important that the thing be done in a transparent manner and that all critical stakeholders should be at the table when those decisions are being taken or being reviewed. The Prime Minister, in making that announcement, spoke of a broad-based governance structure for this new authority. I had called for something of that nature right after the hurricane. I wrote to him about it. However, I noticed that he, at his press conference when he announced it, he made no mention of the opposition being at the table. I don't know whether that omission was inadvertent or deliberate, but I can tell you that if we want Jamaica to get back on her feet as quickly as possible, if we want to avoid social dislocation, and if we want people to feel that the response is equitable, is well designed, and is without political bias, it is important that critical stakeholders be at the table. And the opposition, with 28 seats in the parliament and almost the same number of votes in the last election as the government, should be part of that process. We are willing to serve, but we are currently being excluded. All of the committees that have been established under the cabinet, including the private sector committees and so on, the opposition is not present on any of those committees. The one concern I have as well is in the way in which the post-Melissa response effort is being administered. Jamaica has a robust legal framework for responding to disasters. The National Emergency Response legislation called the Disaster Risk Management Act, which we passed in 2015 and which the government used extensively during the pandemic. Despite the Constitution having provisions for states of national disaster to be declared, and there's a constitutional framework for addressing it, the government preferred to use the disaster risk legislation to respond to the pandemic. What we have seen in relation to this disaster is that it is effectively being marginalized, partly because ODPEM, which is a critical institution within that legislative framework, has been denuded of authority, status, and capacity over the last decade. And this is unfortunate because the legal framework which exists in Jamaica is well designed in accordance with international standards. And it contemplates responses being at the national level, at the parish level, through the municipal corporations, which used to be called parish councils, and at the community level. They're all supposed to be integrated so information can feed its way from the ground up seamlessly to the National Emergency Committee, NEOC, the National Emergency Operations Center, and decisions can be made on the basis of complete information or the best possible information, and then directed and resourced through that structure so that the ground gets the benefit of being comprehensively included in whatever the relief is. What we have seen is that structure is not functioning. The parish councils have not been engaged and resourced so that they can play their part, despite them having disaster professionals and other professionals available to them to play the role they're supposed to play. And instead, we're seeing parallel structures being put in place, which are some essentially running alongside the legal structure that exists, and have in many cases superseded them, but without proper coordination. Those parallel structures are those set up by cabinet, and also those involving our international partners, the NGOs and others, without whom we'd have been in an even worse situation than we are now. We're very grateful to all of the agencies that have been here putting a lot of effort, but the coordination needs to be sorted out. And the legal structure that exists to ensure that relief is distributed fairly, equitably, and comprehensively based on the best possible information on the ground That needs to be activated properly and not circumvented. I close by reiterating that we have value to bring to the table in the response to this disaster. We have representatives at the local government level. We actually have more representatives at the local government level marginally than the government do. We have a substantial number of representatives at the parliamentary level. They are all on the ground getting information daily from residents as to what is happening. The political organizations of both parties go into every nook and cranny of the country, and therefore the organizations are well placed to get information to feed into the disaster response system. That is not being leveraged. That is an asset that the country has, and which the disaster legal framework contemplates being engaged, but is not being engaged and is being marginalized. And that is why we're having suboptimal results, where people are still a month after the disaster feeling abandoned by the government because they haven't seen anything happening to take them out of their plight. The housing situation, we've heard the announcement about the 5,000 container homes that will be brought in and distributed through the NHT. That is not likely to come into effect based on what the Prime Minister himself said until the second month of next year. In the interim, what is the solution for the people who have no shelter? The thousands of Jamaicans who are coming into the Christmas period, every time it rains, them wet up. Their children, old people, pregnant mothers, persons with disabilities. What is going to happen to them? I said at the last press conference, in response to a question from the media, off the cuff, I was asked what did I think would be an appropriate figure to empower the constituencies with. I'd said 50 million. Certainly, a $50 million allocation would allow MPs to respond to the huge need in a more meaningful way. Instead, they've been put in this invidious situation where essentially they're asked to allocate to 100 people when the needs of their constituents are thousands of people. And that simply is just a recipe for a lot of frustration and bitterness. The government needs to wheel and come again with this and rapidly put in place a response on the ground to the shelter needs. It is an opportunity also to run some income on the ground where people have lost their jobs or their businesses have been closed and get the economy moving. We could have mobilized brigades of people who need income to help with the cleanup, which is now very sporadic and needs to be dealt with the public health risks that Dr. Dawes has spoken to again, and also with the shelter issues. Let us mobilize people on the ground, have some money flowing through those communities, get the economy back at the grassroots level so that people can have some hope and so that the needs of the people are being addressed in an efficient and quick way. We will play our part if we are allowed to do so, but we bemoan the misinformation being fed about the role we're playing. We are feeling very excluded from all decision making, and the way in which the system of relief is operating on the ground is not in accordance with established norms, and is also resulting in suboptimal distribution of relief because the relief is not being done on the basis of proper information as to the needs. So that is why we will be having regular press conferences going forward, because we're now at a time when the country needs to change gear in a forward direction, and we feel that the government needs to be guided by persons who are in the feeling it on the ground, the neglect and so on. And it's our role, I think, to do that. The Parliament doesn't lend itself, as currently managed, to having that kind of open dialogue, that opportunity to share what we have to say. So we will have to do it in this manner and other manners. So I thank the media for having given us this time, and we look forward to partnering with you as we play our part in getting Jamaica back on her feet. God bless Jamaica. land we love, one Jamaica. Unity is a must. Let us pull together and rebuild our country. Thank you.
Put together with a criminal government, them not easy, you know.
And thank you again to all our speakers who presented. We'll provide the opportunity for members of the media to raise questions. So please identify yourself and the
Don't put ocean wide, you know.
Put in the question. So, yeah, journalists from Nationwide.
Me not telling you put them.
Good morning, everyone. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. My first question to the is a bit to the opposition.
Them tell the creature to ask question, you know.
Opposition leader, in terms of the allocations that are being given to the members of parliament in order for them to rebuild. We're hearing in terms of the housing that 10 million isn't enough based on how many people in the constituency are affected. I know that there was a suggestion earlier in terms of a fixed figure. You said it was off the cuff as 50 million. But in terms of given the different characteristics of the constituencies and the different amount of persons affected, do you think a fixed figure would be more relevant, or would it be based on the constituency?
I don't think in this situation it's sensible or realistic to have a one-size-fits-all.
Well, the marks are a question.
All constituencies have some needs because hurricane did have impact on everywhere, but the degree is on a huge differential curve. And clearly, those constituencies, which we know from the mapping that's been done and the data that we have, where the extensive damage is, should get realistic allocations in keeping with the extent of the damage and loss that they have suffered. And every MP, I think, would accept that that's fair and reasonable. And so when I throw out a number, I'm not suggesting that every constituency must get the same thing. But I do think that those that are suffering the most, and every MP who has spoken here is in a constituency where there is extensive loss and damage and dislocation. They need to be adequately resourced and included in the process so that the people can feel that the state is responding in a serious way, in an efficient way, and in a fair and equitable way to the disaster that has befallen their lives.
Right, so in light of that, would you think it would be fair if the MPs would do their assessment and determine a figure based off of the damage that they have seen on the ground?
I think that we don't need to go through a scientific survey of the damage in advance of providing relief. It is well known the extent of damage that there is. It's easy to have a preliminary figure, which you know is not going to be the end number that's needed, but is a decent start, and get going with that. A month has passed. Children need to get back in school, but people are still living in shelters in schools that are badly damaged. Teachers and the Ministry of Education want those people to leave. Nothing is put in place for them to go to. And now the MPs are being told, we must deal with it, but no resources are being provided. So it's a crazy situation. And it requires a proper, well thought out response with everybody at the table who has value to bring to that decision. And that's what's lacking now.
My next question would be to Ms. Purkiss. I did do a story a few weeks back on the issue of the rising water in
why we use him alone ask question?
I think those are the three communities you had mentioned. In terms of since then, what can you say about the level of water that's in those communities, and how are the constituents that live there, how are they doing right now?
All right, firstly, let me clarify that Lethe was not one of those areas marooned by water. Chigwell, the water continues to rise. Water is receding in Forest, but it's going over to Chigwell. So it continues to rise in the Chigwell area.
Okay. And I guess this would be a question for all the MPs in general, but
you alone?
Resources, specifically water. Dr. Dawes had spoken about the fact that contaminated water is an issue and people need potable, clean water in order to respond to the disaster. What is the status of the restoration of water in your constituency? This is for all the MPs.
Well, our main booster systems have been damaged, mainly Great River. That has been repaired so far, but we do have booster systems in different areas that are still damaged, and I will use this opportunity to ask NWC to go in and pay some attention to those areas. We have a number of rivers in eastern Hanover. Persons are drinking water from the springs. I don't believe it is safe. I have warned against it. But when we have officials going into the communities that are vulnerable, the experts, and asking them same, I believe it is more effective than just a member of parliament saying, don't consume the river water, don't consume the spring water.
You done? Yes. Hey, they must get no more question, you know.
What Member Purkiss said a while ago in terms of water. Yes. In the majority of these constituencies that are affected by Hurricane Melissa, the system is served by the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS. And the majority of those systems are still out as we speak. The government speak to deploying generators across the country in these areas. There's still a lot of areas that are without these generators as we speak. So in terms of the water infrastructure, because out of the 227 systems we have across the country, they're all independent. There's no linkages. So therefore, the majority of these stations act independently, operate independently. So there's no synergy between, as we speak now, I know that the JPS is trying to repair a lot of these stations along with hospitals and fire stations and other entities. But as far as water goes, because of the electricity from the JPS, a lot of these areas are still, in a lot of these plants across the country, across the different constituencies are still out as we speak. So individuals have to be going to rivers, streams, which the water is unsafe as we speak.
And has water been trucked in terms of the places that don't have
the government
running water?
provided $2 million to each MP to truck water, but here again,
no, you have to move him now, you know.
Say that an average cost for a truckload of water is anywhere between 40,000 and 60,000. So if you look at it, that can only do basically in a constituency, you can basically truck anywhere between 30 and 40 loads of water, and that's what you're supposed to be trucking daily. So the $2 million roughly is a drop in the bucket as we speak.
In some of the badly hit areas, the containers that people use to store water have been badly damaged. Black tanks have been destroyed and so on. So even when you are trucking water, there's a problem as to what you do with it, and that needs to be considered in responding to the water crisis.
All right, done with him now, man. If you want now, wash and wide.
That the Logwood treatment plant suffered damage, right, shortly after Melissa. Power has been restored. The generator there was damaged. I want to urge the government to ensure that this process to procure the generator starts immediately, despite JPS has restored power to the plant. This plant feeds majority of Hanover and parts of Westmoreland. And so it is important that there is a generator there. I know generator was rented during the time until power was restored only recently. But as you know, there are times when the JPS will go down. And as such, it is important that we start the process of procuring a generator for that plant.
Next.
Thank you. Do we have any other question online? All right, thank you so much. I want to special thank
online.
Have a question online?
Online. Yes, I am online. This is Colin Bell, Portland Spice TV. I have about 3 questions.
Okay.
Dr. Dawes, you spoke about all these possible breakout and the possibility of we paying for them in lives if we don't do the things that we are supposed to do. Could you elaborate a little bit more on some of the things that we can do to prevent any more breakout, especially cholera? Also, we want to find out from Dr. Campbell. We saw you put in a water station somewhere in your constituency. The question is, how many of these water stations have been placed in the communities that water is unsafe to use? And is there a plan to make sure that some of these water stations are placed in other community?
All right.
I'll leave it here. Thanks.
Okay. So let's look at what we're faced with on the ground right now. Leptospirosis. This commonly is simply attributed to rats, but it can affect dogs, cattle, cows and goats. And but what happens in many instances is that the rats get into the houses. Now, when you have a sugar belt like Westmoreland, where you'll have cane piece rats, and everywhere in Jamaica where you have garbage piled up, you will have rats around. They get infected. Humans are no longer in houses that are protected from the elements. They're mingling with these vectors. You're going to get any disease, and because leptospirosis is what is brought into the households by the rats and the cattle that are infected, dogs, that is what you're going to get here. In other countries, it'll be bubonic plague. We're not going to say that in Jamaica, hopefully not. You spoke of, so it's really a matter of trying to, as I'd mentioned, a multifactorial approach where you get proper garbage disposal, clean up the areas, and importantly, get the people out of the areas where they are exposed directly to animals that are carrying these diseases. And it may mean that you give them proper housing, and if not, you evacuate them. The other illnesses are waterborne illnesses. You mentioned cholera, but far more frequent in our population is just simply dysentery, diarrhea. You can have really bad diarrhea from contaminated water. And water is contaminated. The storm water has gone into the underground aquifers. People are drinking from rivers and streams, so they're going to get gastroenteritis. Now, what was very maliciously twisted when I spoke about cholera the last time is that it can be imported. And as long as you have people living in the conditions where they're exposed to contaminated water, consuming contaminated water, any disease that is not endemic or native to Jamaica can make it here because we have people coming in and out. The question they ask, we have how many million tourists per year? The millions of tourists coming in per year are not going to interact with people living under tarpaulins and drinking contaminated water. So we have to be mindful that our minds are not trapped into thinking a particular way by those whose sole objective is to play political football. So we have to be mindful of all of the conditions that come here. Malaria is another one. As I mentioned, in Cuba, you have chickpea and zikvi as well as dengue. And there's another one that they have. To be honest, I don't even know the name of that one. I need to do some reading on it. But it's another arbovirus similar to chickpea and dengue, transmitted by the same mosquito that we have here in Jamaica, the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So we have a lot of things to look out for, and it is really the basic principles of public health: primary prevention, early detection through testing, mass testing, and treatment in the early stages when you have a better outcome that we have to really focus on right now. And that is what is going to leave us saving lives.
Dr. Dawes, before you go, do you think it would assist if the government, you used the word a while ago, evacuate people who are our most vulnerable, the elderly, young babies, mothers with young babies who are living in these conditions? And would an evacuation like that also assist in preventing more outbreaks?
Yes, and yes. Unfortunately, we are doing reverse evacuation where we're pushing people out of shelters to go back to the conditions that I spoke about. And in no century has anyone faced with an outbreak put people into harm's way if they say that they are a civilized society. We have to do better. We have to do better.
Dr. Campbell.
Quickly.
Campbell.
Through a private company, we're able to get some water tanks, and we set up a system in White House, one in Darliston, and we've currently procured some more tanks.
This we tell them for the long time.
Speaking to Minister Samuda. So we can set up a system at Cottage, one at the Soil Factory in Betheltown, and one in an area called Audier in the White House Division. The connections to the tanks were set up by UNICEF, and they take the water from these rivers or streams. They treat the water to make it potable. They have also set up a system at Belmont, one in Gordon, and one at the car park in Darliston.
Good.
So the aim is trying to see how we can divide up the constituency and put them in critical areas, so at least people have access to potable water.
It's something that you will recommend to the government. And just one final question for me. The opposition leader early in the piece spoke of a task force, a broad-based task force to oversee the operation, the recovery. Would the opposition look at your members of parliament putting together that committee in their constituency and to say to even donors and private sectors outside, when you are coming into this area, here is a structure. Thank you.
Yeah, the structures exist. You know, the MPs are there, the councils are there, the parish council, municipal corporation is there to support the councillors' work. There's a disaster representative on each municipal corporation, and there are also engineers and other assets that are available. It's supposed to be mobilized and supported so that they can be the ones that are the conduits that then work with the community leaders in the communities and ensure you have broad coverage, you have complete information, or as close to it as possible, and the disaster response can be efficient and effective and equitable, transparent and accountable. That's what we're really saying should be done. We've departed from that system. We have no other system in place, and we're relying entirely on the goodwill of our international partners, and that's helped us through the last 4 weeks. But this is going to be a long haul. Jamaica has to get its act together and organize this thing properly.
Yeah, there's 2 more questions to Dr. Campbell.
Oh, yes.
One being, could you expound on the Adopt a Family initiative and how it works in case people watching want to assist? And secondly, outside of funding, how else do you think RADA can help the western end of the island?
Well, hear this.
Experienced damage?
Not about the Prime Minister and the foolishness I'm around with.
I'm not sure I heard the second question.
The second question would be, in terms of the damage to the farming of the western end of the island, most of the MPs said the farms are destroyed. Outside of just funding, how else do you think RADA can assist these farmers in getting their feet back on?
Sure. So the Adopt a Family initiative is geared towards streamlining the help that is coming to the constituency. So as I said, a part of the problem is currently how relief is coming in, that it's very haphazard. And what we're seeking to do is to pair donors with families. So we've had 6 persons that have contributed a container home, and we have another 6 that is coming. So what we are doing is prioritizing single mothers with 2 or more children, and then we pair them with a donor to get the unit and retrofit it with bathroom, meaning shower, toilet, face-based mirror, door, and to transport it to the constituency is about 4,000 US. And that's not the only way they can do it. We're also working with the hardwares for them to work out a bundle to say this is what would be needed to do a roof for 1 bedroom, and this is what would be needed to do a roof for a 2 bedroom. Or, as we had on Sunday, a group that came in and adopted 5 families, and they're working with them over the next 3 months to ensure that they have groceries and the necessary household items that they would need. So it's really just trying to streamline the benefits by putting the donors directly in touch with the beneficiaries. In terms of agriculture, you know that agriculture is the main employer of labor. And between St. Elizabeth, which is considered a food basket, especially southern St. Elizabeth, there has been significant damage. In Westmoreland, we have a lot of government land. And so a part of what we can do is to look at those
don't jump
government
us
land and see
now.
how we
So
can
come
get
deal with the nastiness. Yeah.
different plots available to farmers and how we can help them with the land preparation, or we can help them with the planting materials and those items to get back going. We also need to see how we use newer technologies. We can use hydroponics to grow most of the vegetables and those items within a shorter period of time. So the government just has to be creative. As I said, we should have used some of the debris, some of the lumber to make some of the poultry houses, to at least ensure that some persons in the communities at least have access to the main protein of Jamaican people, which is chicken. Thank you very much. Have a good day. God bless you all.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And as the leader
All
said,
right.
you will hear more from us. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, so we can move that now out of way. Yes, you John Cosa, where you want name. And you forgot ring out your big dirty thinking, mama, you know. Where you come on there, Safa? I put up big bullshit. All this not have no money. This are we up here, so other donors are sending it and a fee money. And by the way, the money down there, hey, boy, come on for this and go chucking at your big dirty thinking, mama. They tell them no, come on, yes, man, me I want a friend. I want to the piece of shit. Hey, you see some of them, hey, you never go in, man. You piece of shit, you think Wallace can fix back that? The first thing the guy come out and say, he might spend like 100 million to go back US for around 5,000 piece of shit container house. When no good. In a hurricane belt strap house. Land. With them hurricane, them the hurricane proof. If Edman which hurricane proof, where am I going with this bag of shit? And this what I'm doing is fuckery. Them never put them in, don't come on, man. Anybody and your friend on here? When you say mad like me, don't come on, that's all right for me thing. You too stink. You piece that shit that about crying and the one data and the one this with a big dirty thinking self. But go make your mother teach your table manners. You mama take too much man and go you're too bad. Go find, you know what you do? I better you go try. Go find out where you right poop and come on yourself. You too stink. Yeah. No man, them out harder sometime. I'm gonna tell you no come on, man. We say no come on, I mean no come on, you know. What you think of me? When we say no come on, I mean don't come on here. I'm gonna take off this fast there. Oh, that one, yeah. Take it off fast. Stop that. Out of order. You're very out of order, man. Eh? Yeah, you see me, I say, no, the one that we asked the question, the little squid, a little Tony Kanga. Want to know Tony Kanga, Janga, Tony Kanga. Him go around everything, him do even ask and say, well, if the government doing this and it's wrong, that and that, where you think the government should do more, nothing like that. I'm going to pass something else. The one from Ocean Deep. See? Yes. We are that, but it better than pampa fish, though, you know. Papa fish. Yes. Yeah, it them better than papa fish. You want to say nobody come around, put nobody around us. I mean, I'm not afraid people. No big friend. No, people them are suffer. Them will fight for. The things them are Andrew own. Andrew, you know, say, Mark Golden himself rent that helicopter and spend money from him pocket. Andrew not do it, you know. I rob the government, I rob the things them. Them on private sector around put way. Remember we stand up for our people, them around put way, you know. And by the way, what them do can build back the country, you know. That country will never be getting. Remember tell you about Andrew do the people, them must suffer them, you know. Can't say labor right a idiot and them dunce and they stink and fool. Him can't give them a plate of food and them quat. And the stupidest people ever seen in the fucking world. You pick up your guy and enrich them enrich themselves. It's a fuckery. And when you see people that come on the road, don't come on here, some man. And if you go away, nah shit. Me run us and come on here, some man. We are crying for the all of the mothers them. We are crying for the old people them. We are crying for everybody right now. We are suffering 1 month. 1 month. You understand? 1 month. See if them not ask a question, them there, man. See if them there. See, 1 month. And then you don't need no question for ask us, Adana. Them need for us. Lay out the thing. A matter of fact, them for start the more video and put up one anybody in your place. And the people them, if you galvanize up and come out. When you see dead man in your place, to run him out. Any one of them. You start back and say, no, we demand better than this. Any one of them. You come to the constituency. Uno people, we are suffer. Nobody go take no the care package. Listen, my man. They might use helicopter cost so much money to carry a 60 package. The money that come out of the brother, them for go in, man. You are use helicopter. If you live up the helicopter, it's more expensive than 60 package. Long time. Can't buy the fuel. If you carry 60 package. Where are some brother? You understand? Yeah, yes, yeah, man. Yeah, BG. See? You will live up helicopter and drop it. Then you go and you give some people where, you know, George wrong and do all of them. Me never know, say, the minister, they run out. Chuck. Where my run go? Run out. All them I do is PR. You thief for election and do PR. People now forget this. People, as long as Andrew there, you know, if you don't mind stop on next hurricane line up and say, look, I'm going to do it all worse than this now. Because the guy full of sin. And that for Andrew only sin. Do panels last year, we don't learn. When make them fending up with Kentucky and that kind of thing, we don't learn. Eh? You see what happened now? Eh? The man get the little money. You borrow 500, him borrow 500 million, you have people. Them the way them done, some put up something as a 1.5 billion. Him ready for 1.5 billion is 1.15 billion. 650 million plus 500 million when borrow from IMF. You notice them there, you know, say borrow the money, you know. Can't tell them no borrowing. Him just tell be a liar and them listen. Them fool you. Hey, at the worst, me I want them go school. Because if you go school, you don't know, say, if portion leave a budget with 600 billion and the budget reach 2 times that amount. And he said, no, new tax, we don't borrow money, we don't know no new taxes. You believe this? We're not brain dead. So you ask him, so where you have to print money, or you get them money, though you value. Because when I eat that, then when you look, no, you used to buy bread for $250 now or $1,000. And you know, see, you buy a bag of cement now with double plywood, everything gone up, plus tax. And then you see that's that foolishness. No new taxes because you are dunce, you know, dunce. You never go away. Man, destroy the place. Destroy it. Then for go away. The PMP, if you start the more of them things in them place and show it up. Video it and show it. Put up on the face more. No business. Put up on the face. Start video. But me love Jess, you know. Me love the whole of them out there, you know, but Dr. Campbell now ramp. Yes. Zane, them now ramp. Nikisha, she no ramp neither. Dr. Dawes now ramp. So right away, me say Chuck as a shit tell like Chuck is a piece of shit. Go away. You're garbage. Yeah? People, our people, this and this drunk crap play politics with people like me can't them, you know. Come here read when again. Me know them, you know. You can't play politics with the people them life. Remember, if Andrew own this, let me say you and Juliet, not sorry. Rephrase. Yeah, rephrase my argument. If you and Yamed, mother and father, they chopping at that. You that's how quick you dig them out. Yeah? If your father and your brother, your sister, niece, and nephew, them you know reach them already. Those are Jamaicans. Even in a battle, you know, them leave no man behind, you know, left no man behind. So if them falling soldier, them are try to get him. Them are try to get him. You can have something run for 1 month and people still trap. And what them do, them put out line of paper And I have some don't mean and I put out things. Remember, I know the things that we have put out, people easy for facts check them. And that's where all just show the people. When me talking, me like when people facts check me, you know. A matter of fact, I found one speech me I use and show and facts check it. And show say the whole like boom Vaz. Or you come tell me say the whole right island wide. From the 13th, a matter of fact, from the 12th, that you know, the 13th, we have 686,000 customer get back light. Not never go so. Be a lie. Them dangerous. And I mean, the news media hold him to that account. JPS have drop out something the 19th and drop out something on Sunday and tell them two figures. Our helicopter, let me ask a soldier. Let me ask a soldier something. Let me say I can't ask a soldier. Let me say ask soldier. Soldier. Let me ask a soldier. I'm not make on hear him call show. He might me no want them hear him voice. So I'm not put him on speaker. Me ring him now. When you hear me I ring him, you hear me I ring him there. But I'm not put him on speaker. Soldier, pick up you're not nobody not here. Pick up your phone. Film the pan work. See? And when I say soldier, I'm say me no want to say the name. You see me I'm suit from afar, soldier. Yeah. Can't go to name I couldn't see, you know? Yes. Can't see, yes. Me just tell him something. Soldier, the pan work, pick up your phone, yeah? Pick up your phone. Give me a call right now, ASAP. Yes. Me can't tell you this too, because we talk already. The helicopter, you can't have a helicopter and pick up something where you get one of the helicopter package and you have friend. Just fill up the helicopter alone. The amount of money it costs taxpayers is unbelievable. When America sending for them thing, them take the cost of that. Or a helicopter for them fly around the night. And the taxpayers are paid. Yeah, the taxpayers. So when you're going to use it now, if you go drop off over 60 package, that's bullshit. If you have a caravan thing and go in, if you have trailers are going, one time I have a post where them pack off and you're touching the areas. Now, hey, me love what Dr. Campbell do, you know. Hear what Dr. Campbell do now. Well, remember, I do a lot of show. I'm tell them, say them water, them have them tank and do. See Dr. Campbell there? This should I do to the whole place. See me do it there. So instead of we are carrying the bucket of water, remember that that's the next. That's a hey. Remember, you know, then look back where we are carrying and people might drink. And millions dead. Them not have no rubbish. Them not have no disposal. The rubbish now pick up. Them there's a hazard again. Plastic no go away. So we say them forget the tank when they come out with the money. When they come out with the little change and chat foolishness, I will tell them what to do. You put them water in a different constituency and make sure them full up everywhere. And them good. So you eliminate a water thing that people have clean water can go catch. Same like wherever the car is on. Just connect them. Connect them together and put more than one pipe. It's there. So when me a Dr. Campbell, that's what I know say you have real people, you know, you have the fake them. When me a Dr. Campbell do that, it will duplicate it all over. So people have clean potable water. Water, them have water. See? So that now can eliminate the buckles, the millions of buckles we're going in. Because them they are true. Remember them not have no rubbish bin, you know. So them buckles they all over the place now help. I scatter in the place, can in a heap. Now going all over the place. Hard to clean. See? Because when you drink out of it, what you do with the buckle? Throw it away. See? If you mind have a million of cases gone down there, we tell them, say, no, but we tell them, you know. We tell them, you know, BG. So when doctor, them think about the government, the MP do it, but the government themselves should have do this. That same like all them that walk and them give you one tank or something. No, them to have them and pipe them up and do it like this. So instead of you go for water, you drink nasty water, you have water at all times. See? And the best way can we do your work for recovery. But remember, you have to have food and water. You have to. See? Yeah. We need me talk about portable toilet already too. Me raise that point. Yeah. No, me talk about, hey, remember, you know, the whole of these things, hey, I'm calm, my brethren. You see it? The whole of these things that I want to put on here, so I tell him about the house, I tell him about the whole. Just go back and show them from where. But the government now do it. And the MP do it. Remember, we give them the whole of this, you know. And the MP do it. See? Not the government. We said the government should have followed overall and not do this. The government should have do all of this, what we tell them to do. We tell them have to bring in that. Remember, you know, mess all over the place so you clean it up. We tell them, say them germs are block out too, you know. Doctor has come back, come on them too. But, you know, we tell them from the get-go. We know where it come with. We know where it come with. And you know, if they don't beat it every day to them. We tell them people that should not sleep like that. Even if you have 100 people, if you set up some makeshift tents, part of even if 100, you have no more play field and things that the place can clear up proper. And, you know, them people get them proper meal, yes, and do them things start, you know. Like a little tent city and you go and build back fast. You don't need to spend the money. Let me repeat again. I'm going to continue repeating this. We have cement, we have sand, we have gravel. Only thing we don't have is steel and we have black. Because them the mall and thing and this thing we build black. So we have workman and we have the truck them. So when you want to kickstart the economy, the best way for you to do and to own this. I mean, I repeat it. My dad tired for repeat this. You know, I have to make sure that people get a job. And them I work for me, but them I get a pay. Yeah. Because that's how you know, you contract it out, the people are get paid. So them can help build back, even part of them thing where it build back and them are earn. See? The tradesman, them and then them are using people for labor. And then the corner shop them spring up back because them are make money. And so them can buy from your friend them, the pay soldier them. What ball, because them full of shit. Them mash up Jamaica, yes, the worst. See? So, and so the money turn around and it go the economy. Why that buy a 5? Why you number why you should even have about a 5,000 a continent cannot be a permanent structure because them not good. Me show you say them not good, them they're not good. Them the what them are use as them that can't even be a roof. Even when we put shingle pan roof, you know, well nowadays them are use the ply and they will put out the thing and lay. But we used to use we groove and tongue and lock it and all kind of thing. Why use the ply? See? Why use the ply and them thing before put in the shingle, them they better than the roof for me. Say I want the piece of thing, then push it and put two little tape on it. Them done up them anything drop on it gone. You understand? You understand? No, but hear this. I tell them this from day one. And if them that listen, remember me I build that, you know. Remember not sit down, mess around, me build place. Everything when me build, me see them turn up. Them have to stand up. I mean, and I like somebody this when I have the experience, I build a lot of place. Listen me. Listen. My father built, right now, my father built much school, where high school now was stand up in Jamaica, you know. From the 70s, you know. I mean, me not just come talk as like some people are talk and them don't know. When me talk, the talk it have to be unassailable. Them is shit. See? That's why me say that cannot work in a hurricane thing that country. Hurricane belt country. Impossible. That not the foundation. A matter of fact, all the man them need to do change. The boardhouse them can't turn up in a car, some of them lose them roof. Yeah? All you need to do is screw down your thing. Nut and bolt and screws. Nut and bolt and screws. Yeah? Because zinc nail, every time I even hear zinc, you notice all the nail them ease up. Screw when you screw down that. Now move like that. We are bolted down. Better than the hurricane strap really. But put the strap and lock it and use some 4-inch through the strap. Then they just screw them down. And even if someone of you use strap now, screw them down. Screw them. Yeah. None of when it jerk and move on them thing they screw. Start use them thing there. Screw now. Them all start push up the price and screw now, you know. And nut and bolt. What them they want to use? Yeah. Yeah, when you do that, the firmness, you better have. You notice you have a good pen with dance, you know, move. The man will lose 1 zinc. Cause them screw down. Yeah. Them want to spend that. When you work it up, them want to spend the money, them money that can work in a Jamaica. For, listen. I help kickstart the economy, you know, because that's stagnant now, you know. And them short. So you know what, you want to take money. Me not say China come and give you a donation, you know. Other countries. And don't tell me say the Chinese Jamaican may live denied. I don't do that. China itself. You know, see them come out and them send a captain, a plane with donation. No. Them sit down. India do it. Japan do it, not China. And India a border with China. China not do it. You know, America got do that. Other country got do that in the Caribbean. Canada do it. UK do it. China not do it. But you want to give them the first hundreds of million of Jamaican for do what? Of US for do what? Them for go away. Yeah. Them for go away, man. You understand? Them for move and go on, man. See? Them for go, man. I call my virgin here. Before I call him fast, yeah. See where I'm here quick. Yeah. Was live. Yeah, G. Yeah, man. Me carry it, man. Live, man. Me just, yes, me still attack. Me just move. Me carry everything, man. Cool. Yeah, man. Bless up, bless up, bless up, Sir Marketing. Bless up. Yeah, and bless up the panel and everybody here. Yes, man. Oh, same? Yes. I'm call my brethren. Yeah, man. Sir, no, but ODPE MSA at PEM, that coming to being from June 1980. That have everything where Andrew this man could the thing and say this never no go so. These are garbage. Those tested more than one time. Pen and yeah, him turn it and I pen again and pen now. Because Andrew dismantle everything. And what Andrew do? Remember him play politics straight, you know. So when you know, get up, play politics all the time, play film politics. And now, you know, the driver's seat to say, well, you don't take this man political people, them a play politics. Brother, you play politics with people's lives. Stop it. Stop it, man. See? Then I have some million to love run out and don't love do some little things. Don't play with me around here, so. Remember me no big friend, you know. Remember me an independent thinker, you know. I'm not deal with zombie. Zombie brain, them dead. Yeah? So when you have zombie brain, don't come right around here, so. You throw me off. Yeah. See? Yeah, I'm not deal with zombie, man. You have to keep it real, man. Keep it real. Yeah. So the opposition, what I want the opposition to do now is every much there, when they're not doing nothing right, yeah, you can't play soft for these guys. Yeah. Anything with money, you know. D-Net, anything with money, the Angie can go, yes. Them sit and them want to do arms house. Because I'm going to feed them head of those. Me tell you this, that party, I'm going to see colors. Green. Green. You understand? I'm going to play politics. And when it not happen for them, them play politics. So if we keep some people, them have to hand out. And them people there, that's a stinker because listen. My granny, one of my father, mother was a labor right. The boss, a labor right. So no, it's a film grandfather and great grandfather, them was labor. So it in everybody family, you know. But my father is a man, you can't tell him nothing at all about Uncle Colonel and them thing there. You can't, yes. That daddy boy not like how them they move and see, yes. See? So my old man, you can't tell him nothing at all. You're mad. The man, the height. See? So I said go, and then my next guy, you know, is a socialist. He's a Norman Manley. She and Gospel was brethren. Gospel was them brethren. Family Gospel. See? So one day someone did this, so not like, but them take politics for the next level now. You see? And then, you know, my mother stand already. You know, play with her. She not play. She's a man behind. You know, play with them people there. See? So me have people where I'd say most of we know we have people both sides, you know. Yes. You understand? Some of them wake up. Some of them have zombie brain same way. Same zombie brain. See? Cause them but Andrew kind of politics now try go in a people's head. Teach them foolishness. See? Whether they want to learn the foolishness, you know, and play politics, you know. Because we are talking about life now and Jamaicans. And the man play with something where he can't get up and fix him now have the money. If he didn't have the money, you think him not go to South Africa? He won't go use up a taxpayers' money. He might look money for borrow up and a cheap alone. He not do nothing down there, you know. Don't make him trick nobody and call and shit now, you know. That is garbage. Him rush Mama P. You know them time when she had the more serious work, I put back Jamaica on them up. But they mash up. Them a fly all over, you know, you much of carrying family and chameleon and the whole of them fly. So them build big, huge. Fly them all over the place and them not talk to the nation, none at all. None at all. This man, him operate the things the way you hear him sit down when him in our opposition cut against it him a do. He must not allow to do it. Draw them up and hold them by it. You can't allow to do it. But good for the goose, good for the gander. You have to draw them up and hold them by that. Hold them by every single word. Them to stop it. Yeah. No man, them have to stop. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Aye, Bevan. Yeah, man. See? When them come with them foolishness, we have to burn it. They have to burn it. And then the lies. Because you still have some of them are going run with the lie now. What don't you do? And you say, what Andrew do? Them are paying tourism. Oh, not so fool. Remember, you know, the blueprint are from 2002, that are Patterson. But me can't find tourism because Andrew build up these things. He must sell out to land to investors and them own it. The money stay overseas. We're not going to learn this. You know, man, do no non-Jamaican cannot own the land. So the tourism sector thing it have owned by Jamaicans. You're not smart. You can have one little that as a country and then you sell it out. You sell it out. Then we're in trouble. We're in trouble. When I just back them back on up, like when them try to sell out St. Thomas now and sell it out. And each time them sell it, and people build up that, for them do them sell the next piece. Because they not really make nothing for this after it selling. It sell. I just take a tax. So them sell the next piece, I want to know what them do with the money and they stick a tax again. Every year. But a property tax or with a certain business place, them get to them again. Then them send the next piece. So what we have? See them send the land I call it Pinnacle. We have a Pinnacle already, you know. They make them give name dub that Pinnacle. But we have someone named Pinnacle. Rasta them. So why they make a building come down and them they make them name it Pinnacle? Why? Why would I do this? You say when I want to wipe out something. Let me show you something. Show you something. Yeah. Where am I writing this? Yeah. Show you something I know. What on there? Leonard Powell, yeah? See that? Some phone there, Leonard Powell. And then you take out the name. This is about my show, so I don't have no respect. Leonard Powell, the first Rasta of the gang, historic Rastafarian settlement founded called Pinnacle. Now, you don't take, I know I can't believe what Andrew do. Because I remember that Pinnacle and there, Leonard Powell them come deal with this and then the Pinnacle. Now you make Smaddy in a mobile. I know I can't wrap my mind around it, you know. My head. Yeah. Yeah, look at Pinnacle. Let me show you something now. I'm going to talk about this, you know. Look here. So, Powell have that, you know, Rasta have them religion and do them thing. I remember have Pinnacle lesson, peace and what have you, and them talk about it. No, you make somebody come in your country, tell my investor them are live. And at them, yeah, you give name, make them get name Pinnacle. Pinnacle. See there? All this, me not understand, but you're right, but yeah. Why you don't do this on Jonas? Why them not Pinnacle? Why they make them come and give this name Pinnacle? Some investors, mostly from China. Yes, you see what I do? When you hear about Pinnacle, you wipe it out completely front of them face. Because this store get more famous than the Pinnacle. If you don't know about Pinnacle, when you search Pinnacle, and this you see. The man wipe it out. You have to know your history. And you know say the name Pinnacle. Because a little later, you know, when you hear Pinnacle, you know, they may have stand up, you know. And take over the search engine, the algorithms. Them could have picked other name. See? They could have picked other name. Get a piece of land that one bag thing, you know. But the government and them are Pinnacle, you know. So Andrew see it fit for wipe it out. And them man are Chinese, Andrew, they want to come up with a name Pinnacle. But yesterday they make them come up with a name Pinnacle. For call this place in Amobia. For wipe out the original Pinnacle. I have to do something on this to you, Andrew. Because this is a total disrespect. See that? See them say Pinnacle a year ago, yeah? See that Pinnacle. This, so if you look for Pinnacle, most of the time, if you don't know about Oil and them man, the gang, yes, see that Pinnacle. Pinnacle, Jamaica. So now, upon a Pinnacle yard, see again, you know, a Pinnacle, Jamaica this days. So that I take over for the Pinnacle and wipe that out completely. Yeah. Yeah. You should make them give that name the Pinnacle. It's a building where them can get a name. You know that a sacred name for Rastafari and them found and what have you. And yes. You know what? You know. Them do some things what bother me, you know. That, you know, the algorithm, this, when you say Pinnacle Jamaica, this take over. So in a few years now, where it's a pinnacle, if you don't know your history and about how we land them, you know, see nothing like that. Where it's a pinnacle, you know, see the pinnacle where we attack. To refer to this pinnacle Jamaica, a building. A name like that you don't want to use and put on them thing. Yeah? You understand? You see it? You don't want to do this. Yes. See it? So you go put on some Chinese building, some man, some investor, guy building. Yeah. Yeah, man. See? If you just wipe out where I start, you know, brother, for them brain different, you know. Them brain different. I can't deal with that. Yes, I can't deal with that. So, come blaze some fire later because, you know, some time I run fully eat some breakfast. Because, you know, when I get up, go eat a full breakfast or nothing until I come to my show, you know. So, I'm going to do what I do. And later, you know, running back here, me out. Bless.
We are beat it till the hammer burn. We now make them get in on them and again. None of them boy that we none of them. We in lump sum we are beat it till the hammer burn. We now make them get in on them and again. None of them boy that we none of them. We alone some rise up the bomb and
when people like the government of a country, it's the servants protect the people of that country, not to put their life in misery. You understand the Luciano with us, man?
Government, stop pressuring the poor.
Oppression.
Politicians, your judgment coming for so.
Serious
it's a government in your regiment. Stop pressuring the poor.
We can't take it no more,
Politicians, your judgment coming for so.
Yo, politician with the evilest mission, who no we blame. Too money and power and fame. Wanna go friend up the youth, them really don't believe. Get them big gun and brainwash them.